Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great start to October. So we're gonna have a slew of updates coming in this week and possibly next week as well, as the miners are providing all of their September production updates. So today we're gonna go over really Bitfarms and Cipher. They were the first ones to provide updates. We'll go through those. Also, we'll take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin a little bit. Had a wild Sunday, kind of cooled off a little bit here today. We'll take a look at some of the resistance that we do have and some of the supports. We'll go through that later on at the end of the video. So it should be pretty quick, but I'll provide the chapters on below for you guys to skip over the sections that you really want to see. Okay, but as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. And I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And as always, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into the first one here, which is going to be on Bitfarms. So Bitfarm mines 411 BTC in September 2023. That's the headline here. We got some pretty good information from both, actually. Bitfarms and Cipher did grow quite nicely here in the month of September. And here's what we have from them. So Bitfarms fully energizes Rio Cuarto at 51 megawatts, expanding total operating capacity to 233 megawatts. They increased their hash rate 9% to 6.1 exahash, which is good. They also improved energy efficiency to 36 watts per terahash with new 28 watt terahash miners. So that's good. They're still not below the 30 terahash mark that we want to see miners get to before the halving event. But they're definitely improving, which is good to see. Here's some insights. Also in September, our hash rate increased 9% to 6.1 exahash, slightly below our Q3 2023 target of 6.3. They're only 200 petahash away from that, which isn't too bad. Reflecting some electrical infrastructure delays that pushed out the Baie-Comeau, Quebec facilities full installation by a couple of weeks. So we'll get that possibly here in October or November sometime. They'll get that to 6.3. Not a big deal there. Also, we continue to pay down debt, closing September with under 10 million of outstanding indebtedness, all of which is scheduled for repayment in advance of the halving, which that's great also because they were at over, I think it was over 100 million at the middle of last year. So they've paid down a lot of it, which is good to see. They're going to be pretty much debt-free going into the halving event, which is going to be good there. And then this is kind of, I was a little questioning this part here. So executing on our comprehensive fleet management strategy, we have further optimized our miner portfolio while bolstering our balance sheet in anticipation of purchasing the next generation of sub 20 watts per terahash miners after the halving. I did a video on this. When was it? I think it was on, I can't remember now. I think it was on Friday or Saturday. I can't remember now. But I spoke about those new sub 20 terahash or sub 20 watts per terahash miners, especially the ones from Bitmain, the new S21s. And based on the pricing and things like that, depending where Bitcoin goes and things like that, it really, I don't know if that's the best choice to do, especially as you go into the halving event. If Bitcoin goes up in price, the price for those miners is going to go up. I would almost prefer them to, if anything, wait until we get into another bear market or something. Get as much cash as you can in the interim with Bitcoin going up in price. Obviously, the network hash rate is going to be increasing. But that way they can at least have a lot of cash on hand and buy miners on a cheap when we do go into a bear market going forward, which is going to happen possibly in sometime in 2025, 2026, when that cycle starts again. Okay, so that's the only thing I'm questioning here. I don't know if that's such a good idea. September installation of S19 Pro miners in Argentina nearly doubled the number of sub 30 watt per terahash miners in operation and shifted the fleet portfolio constitution. It is now comprised of 23% sub 30 watt per terahash miners, 58% 30 to 40 watt per terahash machines, and 19% 40 to 45 watts per terahash machines. Those are the ones that I would obviously be the one looking to get rid of first, followed by the 30 to 40 watt per terahash miners. And then as expected, we are now well positioned to leapfrog over the XP generation entirely and strategically layer the new sub 20 watt per terahash miners for both upgrades and expansion. So that's also concerning there. I don't know if it's going to be a good idea. I would have to run the numbers. But based on the numbers that I'm seeing right now, I think the XPs are a pretty good bet to buy right now. You're going to be paying a premium on the S21s. But we'll have to see, obviously, where they go and where prices go per terahash on the miners, okay? The recently announced new generation of sub-20 watt terahash miners have the capacity to rapidly drive hash rate growth and increase energy efficiency around having at significantly lower cost per terahash than XP miners have traded for throughout 2023. I mean, the XP miners, you were able to get those at like, I think some got them around $15 per terahash, some were around $20, depending when you bought them and where you were at. They were actually a really good deal at that point, right? I've always stated that if you look historically, the best time to buy miners is during the bear market after a halving event. which usually comes about 2 years down the road, year and a half to 2 years. Okay, but that's usually when you want to really start buying miners. You don't want to buy them into the bull run, especially as prices of miners go up. Okay, so we'll have to see how this works out for them. Here's the updates. Total BTC mined was 411. Month-end operating hash rate obviously was 6.1 exahash, and then their BTC sold was 362. They did hodl a little bit here, added to their hodl position, and that is down here, I believe. Oh, here it is. Increased hodl to 703 Bitcoins in treasury, which is good. Reduced total outstanding indebtedness by 1.9 million, resulting in a remaining balance of 9.9 million at September 30th, which was only a couple days ago, which is good. So they've definitely paid down a lot of debt over the last year, which is fantastic. Definitely improved their balance sheet. So that's good to see there as well. And I think that's all we have here. Yep. So let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. We'll go through it all, see where I think they should be valued at, look at analyst ratings and also analyst price targets. But here's what we have to contend with. And I should have updated the price here. So I forgot to do that. Stock price is higher than it was. This was back from, I think, Saturday is when I updated this. But let me pause it right here for you guys, basically. And then I'm going to update this and we'll get back into it. Okay. Okay, so I got that updated. Here's what we're looking at. Shares outstanding right now is 258 million, roughly. Stock price is $1.09. Market cap is at 281,500,000. You can see on their performance here over the last 12 weeks hasn't been great. Hasn't been great for a lot of the miners because since we've had pretty much 10 weeks out of the last 11 weeks we were in the red for the most part on these. So they're down 45% from 12 weeks ago, 32% from 8 weeks ago, 12% from 4 weeks ago, and they're actually up last week, just barely 0.94%. When we look at their current hash rate is at 7.1. What they have bought currently is at 7.7. That's where they're going to be going to. So they still have quite a bit of growth left in them, which is good to see. Their BTC hodl is at 703. That's valued at about 19.6 million. Okay, BTC production here, you can see month to month how that has compared or how that's progressed. And they're getting close to their average line here, which is 431 Bitcoins going back to last year of September. So that's kind of the average. They've been below it a couple of times here, above it in May. Obviously, a lot of miners were above it in May as well because of the transaction fees on Bitcoin. And then we've been below it here the last 3 months, and we're getting pretty close to it again here in September. So that's good to see. You can see the BTC hodl value, hash rate left, BTC sold, BTC mined, BTC hodl on this chart here. And you can also see the month-over-month difference for BTC being mined. Have they improved that or not? And they have improved in the last 2 months, which is good to see. Their BTC hodl has also been growing here ever since last year in December here, where they were selling quite a bit of it. They had quite a big stack of Bitcoin hodl. They sold quite a lot here in the summertime and going into the fall. And then they obviously stopped towards the end of the year and have slowly started to increase that as well, which is good to see there. Their BTC per exahash efficiency is at 67.4 is what I have them at. With the network hash rate going up, it's understandable that that efficiency is going to be going down. BTC sold, this is what they've been selling each month here over the past year. Hash rate and revenue here. Hash rate, you can see, has also been increasing here pretty much every month, which is really great to see that they've been doing it. Nice steady growth here throughout the last year, it looks like. The value as far as what they're generating from Bitcoin, as we kind of up and down a little bit here, their best month was in May with 12.62 million, and that was based on the additional of transaction fees on the Bitcoin network. And then recently they've been kind of ranging around 10 million to 11 million or so in the last 4 months with revenue on that side. And you can see their hash rate difference here. For the most part, you can see they've had increases here except for a couple months here the last year. Other than that, they've been growing pretty steadily, like I said. BTC sold value, this is how much they've been basically selling here. Last 4 quarters revenue, we've talked about this when we do the quarterly results, but you can see how things are stacking up right now. They actually had a really good Q2. Q3 right now looks about to be 32.85 million, which we ended obviously in September. And then the last 4 quarters operating costs have been pretty steady. They're up and down a little bit here, but not too bad. Okay, you can take a look at the other metrics here as well. BTC cost to mine BTC has been increasing, but it has been increasing also for a lot of miners. Bitcoin mined quarterly, unless you're really growing above the network hash rate, you're more than likely not generating more Bitcoins. And then debt to equity, we can see here, current ratio, total assets, and everything else. All right, we'll get back to this metric here in a little bit. My estimates for them as far as where they should be priced. When we look at the institutions and analyst ratings, we can see that institutions did increase here to 119, which is nice to see. Shares also increased to 40.5 million, and percentage owned also increased to 14.81, which is good to see. We still have only 2 buy ratings for them. No hold, no underperform, no sells. Price target pretty much stayed the same here as last month, $3 across the board. And then for the month of here, September, we'll take a look at what they installed. So they installed these 103 terahash miners, all of them. So they installed approximately, it was at 4.65 thousand of those. Based on what I could figure out, it could be some of these down here, but that's kind of the way I'm adding them in here. And then also I added in some of these 140 XPs, or I don't even know if they got rid of these or not. They didn't have too many of these to begin with. They only had, how many miners did they have here? They only had reported buying 1.2. This was on December 2nd of 2021, Nminer S19J Pros XPs. But they reported this on that date. So I don't know if this actually went through or not, but this, we do have it here. I haven't heard anything that they didn't. So they might still have some of these in here, which they reported they're not having any XPs, which is kind of a surprise. Okay, but that's what I have in here. And then we still have all of these miners left to install. All in all, had them operating for about 30 days out of the month here, and the miners that got installed for about 28 days to get us to the 10.811 million in revenue, which coincides with the network, or not the network, well, the network average hash rate for the month, along with the Bitcoin average price for the month of September, which is what we got here, right? We're taking that 411 times the Bitcoin average price. We're getting 10.811 million roughly in revenue. And that's been pretty close to the numbers that we've been seeing here, reported from them and other miners as well. We're usually within a couple percentage points here. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at here, and 32.851 million for the quarter of September ending, and we'll see how they continue going forward into the Q4 numbers, which started basically today. And let's go into my estimates here. So looking at the last 3 quarters, what they mine, which are actual numbers, and then the current quarter that we're in also is an estimate number, so that's going to possibly change. Looking at them with a P of 20, I have them between $4.81, but that's based on the previous 9 months and, well, current quarter that we're in. Along with, if we look at 50% net income, we're looking at $4.81 for the stock price, and 75% net income at $7.22. They're currently at $1.09. Analysts have them at $3, and I think going forward, depending on where their hash rate increases and things like that, where Bitcoin goes in value, for this one, future estimates, I'm just taking the current month that they reported on September, multiplying it times the, I believe it's 6 months that we have until the halving event. If we look at it here, I'll point this out to you guys. I think it's 6 months. Yep, 6 months here until the halving event possibly going to be happening. So we're multiplying September numbers times 6 plus the 6 months after the halving event at 50% of the current revenue. And I got them at $3.77 to $5.65. So a little bit higher than the analysts have them, but not much. So we're really right in there. Okay. Now, their hash rate efficiency currently, based on my numbers here, is at 31. I think they reported. If those got installed here, they're a little bit higher. But currently, if they install these miners over here, everything else, I believe that, yeah, I don't have, I probably should include that one as well. Let me see here. Include that one. That might bring them down a little bit here. And let's see here. That one as well. Okay. So that still gets them to 31.45. So they definitely need to get some newer miners, get rid of some of these older miners here, which I already have basically being omitted out going forward. And I think after the end of the year, I'll take these out, swap them out for some of the other miners that are more efficient. Okay. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. So they definitely need to get below that 30 watts per terahash, or 30 joules per terahash. Okay. So let me know what you guys think of Bitfarms. As you know, I'm invested in them. I'm rooting for them to do well. They're well diversified as it is. Their balance sheet is looking good. I think they're not going to have any problems going through the halving event. It all depends where Bitcoin is and everything else. But I would recommend for them to be cautious buying into the bull run miners unless they're getting an absolute great deal on them. Because typically, like I said before, Bitcoin price goes up, the price for miners goes up as well along with it. Okay, I wish that wasn't the case, but that's the way it is. So the best time to buy, in my opinion, is during the bear markets, which we're still kind of in a little bit right now. We haven't really gone full bull mode yet. I don't think that's going to happen until possibly after the halving event, a couple months after that. Okay, so that's it for Bitfarms. Let's take a look at Cipher here. So Cipher's going to be a little bit quicker here. They didn't provide that much information, but Cipher Mining announced its September 2023 operational update. Here's what we have for them. BTC mined 416, power sales equivalent BTC. So this is what they would get for selling power. BTC sold was 382. BTC held was 553. So that is also improving. Their month-end operating hash rate was 7.2 exahash, which is nice to see as well. That has increased quite nicely from almost, I think, 400 some petahash, I think. We'll take a look at it nonetheless. We are delighted to announce that we have completed the final phase of the build-out of the Odessa facility and achieved our goal for Q3 of 7.2 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity across our portfolio. So that is great news there. And here's a picture of it. And let me see here. They talk about the increase. We pretty much covered all that up top. Let's just take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. We'll talk about Bitcoin a little bit here as well. So Cipher has 254 million shares outstanding, pretty close to, I think it's pretty close to what Bitfarms has. Yeah, I mean, they're really close there to each other. Stock price is at $2.54. They are market cap at 647 million. So you can see the big difference here, or the disparity in the pricing for each one. They have 281 million market cap, and they only have 6.1. Obviously, Sphere has a little bit more, 1 exahash more, but that's still a huge difference between the two nonetheless. Market cap, like I said, 647 million. You can see their performance here over the last 12 weeks hasn't been great. Like a lot of the miners haven't been great. They're down 52% from 12 weeks ago, 36% from 8 weeks ago, and 22% from 4 weeks ago. And then last week, they were down another 4.51%. Their current hash rate is at 6.247. Their future hash rate is supposed to be 7.357. And let's see, which one am I using here? The number on it, I just want to make sure I get that right. And I probably should be using a hash rate. Let's see here. I want to make sure I get this right, because they're supposed to be at 7.2. And which one am I using here? I'm using that one, and that one is being used where? Okay, so we're using the actual numbers that they have for them for mining. For Odessa, right? Elbarez Bear and Chief is a joint venture where they have 49% stake in it. So they do have 49% miners in there. And that's how we're calculating the total numbers here to get to 7.2, which I'm taking the 49% of what they have in Elbarez, Bear and Chief, and adding it to the Odessa facility. Okay, so that's kind of how that's working out. And the reason I'm doing that is because, oh, now it updated to 7.2. What? Okay, well, that is strange. That was a little glitch in the software, I guess. Let's see here. Oh, because I clicked on it. It should be over here. Okay, the reason I'm doing this is because they don't report the number of BTC mined at the other facility that they have joint venture with. It's not being reported on the financial statement as well. That's going as an asset, not as a revenue. Okay, so that's the reason for it. Total hash rate here is 7.2, so that works out. All right, so we have that information there. All right, let's go back up top. BTC HODL position 553 Bitcoin, valued at 15.4 million for them. Their BTC production here has been kind of up and down as well for pretty much the last 6 months or so. You can see that their average Bitcoin is at 309. They're 416, so that's good. But they also had when they were starting out last year, they were very low on their hash rate, hash rate and BTC production. And so then the huge increase that we've seen here recently is obviously helping them be above that, so that's good there. You can see the BTC HODL value, hash rate left, BTC HODL, BTC sold, and then BTC generated for the month of September. Then you get their month-over-month difference, BTC mined. You can see here that they had a pretty dramatic drop here in June, which like I said before, was based on the network transaction fees adding a lot to the miners. So that definitely helped them out. But overall, they have been increasing for the most part, which is good to see as well. BTC HODL has been growing here as well. Dipped a little bit here in May to 407, but it's been going up. BTC per exahash efficiency has come down. It was actually pretty low for some of the miners. They did curtail quite a bit here in the summer months, and that seems to be getting better for them here in September. BTC sold, this is how much they've been selling. A lot of times they were actually selling more than they made. If we look at the production here to this, you can see that some of these months they were selling actually more than what they generated. Okay, hash rate and revenue. Hash rate has been increasing nicely here. We started tracking them right around December, and that's been going up here nicely. They stalled a little bit here in the last 2 months, but they got a nice bump here in September, which is nice. And then the revenue has also increased quite nicely here, and it was kind of up and down here the last couple of months, but it's still down from the peak of May, which, like I said, was the network transaction fees. Hash rate difference from month to month. You can see that they installed a lot in December, January, February, March was a good month, and then they had a little bit of a lull here, and then back up in June, and then nice update here in September as well, almost 400 petahash increase. Their last 4 quarters revenue, it looks like they might be able to break the Q2 revenue by maybe, what is that going to be, 200,000 or so, depending on where things come in at, but that's kind of where I have them at right now. Operating costs have also been increasing here, which isn't good to see. We definitely need to get those down. And custom one Bitcoin, still pretty good, 12.6. Bitcoin mined quarterly has been increasing, which is good to see. Debt to equity is pretty good. Current ratio has come down definitely, but still not too bad. They have current assets of 42 million, and then total liabilities of 38.7 million, which is good there. They have enough to basically cover their current debt. Okay, we'll get back to these numbers over here. Institutions and analyst ratings, that did increase a little bit here to 125. And shares increased as well to 18.5 million from 18.3. Percentage owned increased to 7.4 from 7.3. We now also have 3 strong buy ratings for them, 3 buy ratings. So that's an increase that what we had previously, but the price targets are a little bit higher for the average at least. The highest stayed the same at 6. The average went up to 525 from 510, and the low is still at $4.50. And we'll take a look at my numbers here in a second. But here's what we have for them as far as what they installed in the month of September. Looks like they installed about 3,575 of these 110 terahash miners. They got them mining for about 21.95 days. The rest of the miners were operating for about 30 days. Based on the numbers here, to get to a total of, where is it? I believe it was 10943, or was it? Hold on. I gotta look at my numbers here because they got the 2 different facilities. 10943. Okay. So that got us to the 10943 here for Odessa. Like I said, Elborus, Bear, and Chief are joint venture. They don't report that. So that's kind of what we're going by. And then when we look at their efficiency on the miners, they do have some of the older miners here as well, the 88 terahash miners that are bringing them way down here to their efficiency at 30.07 joules per terahash. So they're pretty close to that 30 or below it. And I think, let me see, make sure that we're calculating all the miners that are left here. They might be just under that if we include these latest ones here that I did swap out a little bit. Okay, so that actually brought them up to 30.73 here based on all this. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So they do need to swap out some of these older miners potentially and get some newer ones in there in that place. And they have, let me see, how many miners is that? That is approximately 8,200 miners. That's close to, depending on what miners they get, that's basically another, swap these out, you're adding another maybe 200 petahash or not more. Right? No, what is that going to be? That's going to be close to 300 petahash. Maybe you're going to get to about 1 exahash if you swap them out for the more efficient miners. Something like that. So that would be a good improvement there as well. And it definitely dropped their joules per terahash efficiency as well. All right. So that's it for that. If we look at my estimates here, using the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, we're looking at about 87.5 million total, 50% net income from that with a P of 20. We're looking at $3.44 to $5.15. They're currently at $2.54. I think they're undervalued. If we look forward, again, using the last numbers that we do have here for September, multiplying that times 6 months before the halving event at 100%, and then 50% the next 6 months after that, we get them to $3.87 to $5.80. So that's good news. That's actually an increase there, which is nice. And it's kind of in line with, on the higher end, pretty close to where the analysts have them at $6. And on the low end, we're a little bit lower than that, but this is kind of where I'm looking for them going forward if you look future estimates. But it also depends on where Bitcoin price goes. Bitcoin goes up, their revenue each month is going to increase instead of what it is for September. You got to take that into account. So these are very conservative numbers for Cipher right now. Okay, I think that is it that we wanted to cover here as far as the miners are concerned. I don't think there's anything else. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys buying them? Are you guys currently holding them? What do you guys plan on doing going forward as we get closer to the halving event? And then after the halving event as well. Let me know down in the comments below. And if there's any questions you guys have, shoot those comments down into the comments as well. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. See what's going on with that, because it had a pretty wild day here, last 24-48 hours or so. So you can see here that yesterday at around, this would have been around 5 p.m. or so, Bitcoin just, skyrocketed up. It was up quite a bit here. It went from basically 27,200 to 27,000, almost 28,000. So pretty much like $800 increase in value in just a little bit. We did hit some resistance here for a couple hours. right around the 200 weekly moving average. And then it finally broke through that, and then we finally hit our second resistance here at 28,600, which is our resistance line / support line going forward, and we got rejected there pretty badly. As you can see here that since reaching that, it has been coming down here. The good thing is the RSI has definitely come way down. If we look at the RSI on the 1 hour chart, we're at 40 right now. Last time we were way back here, and price was at that point at 26,188. We're about $1,300 higher in price from where we were then. So that's good there. So that's at least giving me a positive sign that we might be continuing to go up. At least we're fighting to go back up. If we look at the 4 hour chart, we can see the same thing happening here on the RSI as well. We're currently at 53. If we go back to here, 53, we're obviously lower in price at that point as well. That gives them more room to run. On the daily's a little bit different story here. We're at right now, let's see here, 59. The last time we were back here, we're definitely up in price from where we were over here. And we'll see if this can continue. So this was kind of the reversal I was looking for to possibly give us a sign that we might be going back up. But definitely don't like these huge spikes that we've been seeing here. You know, we saw it here, and we continued to go down, and then we saw it here as well. Now we're coming back down. So we'll have to see what happens with that going forward. But at least on the 4 hour and the 1 hour chart, it's looking a little bit better. And if we look at the weekly chart here as well, we definitely have room to run here on the weekly. So we could be getting a little bit of a bull run here going into the next maybe month or two before maybe even the year end and into the halving event. Okay. But as far as the miners had a crazy day today as well. I mean, you can see the numbers here. They were up much higher in the beginning of the day. And then as Bitcoin started going down, the miners also took back a lot of the profits, or, well, they were still in the positive, but big ones that had a good day today were Cipher had a good day. Greenwich was up 10%. Who else had a really good day here? Mawson surprisingly had a really good day. They were up quite a bit here, 31% on the day. Let's see here. Get rid of some of these lines here, make it a little bit more readable. So this is on the daily here. Weekly, sorry. And if we look at the daily, had definitely a nice run here. I think you might have bottomed out here back in August. It seems like we've been holding that line at least for the time being, and we've definitely had a nice day here today. And I'm still not, well, I shouldn't say still not. I'm a little concerned for Moss as far as viability for them going into the halving event. But we've talked about that in other videos. I'm going to go into that. If you want to look it up, look up some of the latest videos or search for Mawson. You'll find it in there what I mean. Okay, Riot. Let's see if anybody had a really bad day. It doesn't look like anybody had a real bad day. It ended up not being as good as we thought it was going to be in the beginning of the day. Okay, so that is it for that. As always, you guys know that the Patreon members will get this obviously updated here today. I'll get this out to them sometime tonight. I'll get the YouTube members the screenshots of these dashboards for the two miners. We'll get that out possibly sometime tomorrow. And then also, I think there's only one spot left for the $4 a month membership. And then that'll be it for that one. And then the rest is going to be the $5 going forward. There's only 150 spots open for that one as well. Once that gets filled up, we'll go up to $6. We'll just keep going, basically dollar increments as more and more people join. Because then it takes more and more of my time where I have to respond to you guys with questions and answers and things like that, which I don't mind, but it just takes me more time. So I need to get compensated. Unfortunately, nobody works for free anymore. Okay, so that's it. That will be happening here shortly. Like I said, that's happening there. And we'll see how this week continues going forward. It's going to be interesting. We're obviously in the new quarter now for the miners. We finished out the quarter 3 basically. We should get a lot more updates from the other miners this week. And then we also should get, well, quarterly results here in the next 6 weeks, possibly for Q3. So it's going to be a busy 6 to 8 weeks coming up here with everything happening. We'll also see where Bitcoin goes. All right, but that's it. I'm rambling on here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then.